We're on to our last series of the day, and we get to decide which team will make it to the semi-finals and which one will be eliminated. It's Fiend taking on the Movistar Riders. Jarlon is still kicking it with us. Janko is back in the hot seat, ready to do his thing, ready to understand if we get more upsets potentially, or is this quite an even matchup?
I think it can be pretty even, to be honest, right? Like the individual skill is there for the Bulgarians, right? The X factor of playing with a stand-in, Ships, a very skilled player, also
Definitely.
an IGL in his own team, so understands the game, can help out, bubble a little bit, and yeah, but Movistar obviously the full squad, right? Yeah. And they've had some good results recently as well, have the map pool advantage, or should have on paper, so yeah, I think this can be a pretty fire one.
I think what you need to look at here is just the type of opponents they face, right? So Movistar coming in, obviously surprised by Enterprise, and then taking down a pretty uninspired Sinners team, obviously.
Yeah.
Then you have Fiend, who banged out Gambit on Dust 2 and made Big work really hard for that 2-0, right? So I guess just the level of competition is in that term, Fiend looked a bit stronger, I guess, in this tournament so far.
But also Fiend played in the play-in and Movistar didn't, so maybe they just needed a little bit of time to warm up, right? Get a feel for the studio as well. You could tell they were a bit shell-shocked in that opening game against Enterprise, a completely different team, mentally just and energy-wise in the game against Sinners, hyping themselves up, and that second map was just close by scoreline, but wasn't really close. That was a stomp from Movistar Riders. Yeah.
One thing, right, that we've got to look at for both these teams, though, right, is the Bulgarians can be super fired up, but we've seen the Spanish side also spend that kind of energy, get loud and proud of it. It was after every single round almost with Movistar that they were just popping off and they were giving it some welly.
I guess the one problem with that type of approach is that, sure, it gets you hyped up, gets you going in the game, but as we saw with Kassar yesterday, Fiend can play a very slow, in the end, a game against Big, every round went to the last 10-20 seconds, And if you try to keep that, that hype up, you get burned out after a while. In the best of three, at one point, if you use up all your energy, that can actually be a detriment.
Don't want it to be that way at all for them, right? They need to be able to save and conserve that energy throughout these games, especially because if you're saying how close it could be, we're likely to get 3 maps, likely to get some very close games as well. I can't see either one of them, especially how the map pool stuff work out, just stomping it.
Yeah, I think the problem is for Movistar, even though they're the full team and you have that map veto, actually against Fiend, it doesn't really pan out that way because, they don't play Dust 2, they have to veto that, opens up Mirage pick for Fiend, then the Punish pick for Movistar. Well, Nuke is probably the more comfortable one. After losing to Enterprise on Overpass, you don't think they're going to repeat that pick, and that opens up a sort of Inferno decider, and I think those 3 maps, if that's indeed the veto, that actually gives a pretty decent chance to the Bulgarians on the first and the third map.
In 3 months, Fiend have played 4. That can't be right. That's got to be a miss. 42 maps of Nuke?
That does seem like a bit.
It seems like an error.
I think it's 42% and then it's spilled over into maps played.
You can't put it beyond them, right? They've been grinding just online almost every single tournament.
Even though the other map star is generally quite high, look, we're looking at 20 plus across 3 of them.
This is 80% for Movistar, but they've lost just 1 out of the last 12. So even more so than that, they've been on a great run. That's why I think it's going to be a no-brainer pick for them. But yeah, you can see on the other side of things, Mirage only at 25%. So that's why I think this is probably going to be a 3-map series.
And we got this Ancient in there for Fiend as well. Ancient, what do you think of Ancient, you two, when it comes to this? Because it's a map which obviously has had a few small changes, but it still needs a fair amount of tweaking right before we see it kind of flourish. Yeah,
probably some more tweaks in terms of bombs. I always hate when I see the spams going through right on B. Yeah. It just kind of it's not great gameplay. It's the same on Vertigo, right? Just spamming through the smokes. You don't want that to be the gameplay that you're witnessing. So I think some small adjustments, but in general the map plays well. You can see the meta adjusting. First it was all about B, then teams want to switch it up. They add some of those, fast A executes with the smokes from spawn. Obviously the mid control with the bug Molotov or whatever plays a large part. But so you always work around. We saw yesterday in the Entropic Enterprise game, some of those B rushes just straight up working well for Entropic. So it's all about trying to get the correct read on what the CT setup is going to be and try to establish some map control early.
Yeah, obviously just updating the bomb side by default, when it came out, the actual plant spots were very small. You could just cover it with one Molotov and, you can't even plant. But now they updated that, made it a bit wider, which allows, a bit more variety and where you can plant. You can see that coming out sometimes on the B side, just like making that at the very edge of the plant spot, just making the plants, gives you a bit of more variety when it comes to how you want to execute your T strat. So I guess it has been improving, I think can do maybe a few more tweaks, yeah.
Well, when it comes to Fiend, right, we spoke about Bubble and the fact he's in charge and you have to do a lot of work for this team, but we actually get to hear what he's been thinking so far up until this point in the tournament.
Versus Budapest 5, we played really good at the city half. We watched the demo and we saw that we did so many mistakes, especially on the pistols. Both pistols we did huge mistakes to lose the rounds. And on the T side, just nothing worked on. Like the guys were killing all the time the first guy. We didn't have good entries, good trades. I guess we had to play a little bit slower and together. First of all, I want to say that I didn't expect them to pick Dust 2. Because as far as they know, we are playing with a stand-in and Dust 2 is kind of a mixed map, easy to be played. But they played really good as a team-wise. Our city side, we were lacking of taking space at some point and losing a lot of entry frags. But on the T side, I did in one of the three. Actually, in the last 3 rounds, I did 2 mistakes, which cost us the win on Dust 2. It was totally my fault. I didn't play on my best. I would like to say that playing as a stand is really hard. Because me as an IGO have to think for a lot of things. I'm happy that Chips is IGO in skate and he's helping me out with the calls, but still it's really hard. Trying to be very, very flexible, and I think we had a chance to close way earlier Inferno because we lost some crucial rounds on Inferno on the T side, and then we lost 2 eco rounds or force buys on City side. So yeah, I think Inferno had to be closed way earlier. What can I say? The guys played really good on overpass in the whole best of 3. They we deserved the win at some point, but they also deserved the win as well. Huge props to them. But if I'm not wrong, tomorrow we have an off day, so we are gonna prepare for the team which we're gonna face, the loser of the winner match. And yeah, hopefully we're gonna get out of the group and play in the other stage, in the playoffs.
So there from Bubble, what I do like from this guy, he's very honest and open with his answers, right? He's very straight to it. He doesn't mess around, whether it's his fault, someone else was going wrong. This guy just gives us the truth.
It's the Balkan way, James. There's no messing about,
Like they hate you,
I think it's great, you take accountability also, right? He said he messed up a couple of Dust 2s, really it's on him.
Yep.
And, I'm sure that other players respect that. And you heard it from himself, right? Dust 2, fairly simple map to play. Okay, the changes are there. If you have an idea of how to abuse some of the openings on the CT side, it might even help you. Some, teams are still figuring it out. Still the timings, how much can you actually get punished for those aggressive plays, what the best answer is. So it's still a new dynamic to the map. It's crazy how a small change to the map really changes the complete dynamic of how it's played.
And so he also brought up those pistol rounds, right? That is very important because you're up against a team in Movistar who have won 6 out of 6 of their pistol rounds so far in this tournament. Right, 100% win rate, and those are extremely important. Just converting them, getting that 6 rounds based off that. And Fiend, as he said, struggling in those a little bit so that's something that they needs to fix for this match.
Well, let's also now hear from the other side, right? Because Movistar riders, they've been had the success going into the major, start to see some better results from them. But here we need to see a little bit more of that fire come out from them. So let's hear what Mopos had to say.
No, I mean, for example, yeah, we were the favorite against them, but in CSGO nowadays every team can beat everyone, so it's going to be hard just to expect that, okay, Movistar Riders has to beat them Enterprise. It's not that way because every team is good nowadays. They were playing really good. They were just being so much aggressive as City side. We couldn't make our default, so we didn't have any chance to play the late game. That is our more strong way to play every map. So we just lose the opportunity, and they played well. That's it. The difference between the two matches is just the first one. We just changed a couple of things to face them, so they didn't expect us just to make they didn't expect us playing the way we were playing on A. We just surprised them. That's all. And the second one is a map that both of the teams are really good. As in Vertigo, because Vertigo and Inferno are comfortable maps for all the team, for us and for them, for both teams. In the city side, we were leading 10-5, so we were relaxed. Afterwards, 13-5, but surprisingly, they made a comeback. That's when you know that any team is strong. It's when they make a comeback, and they did it. But at the final 2 rounds, we just stopped them. Our game plan at the final rounds, it was like, okay, guys, play 5 versus 5. Don't give them entry kills, because otherwise they are going to keep winning the rounds. And then we just try to be more calm inside the game, and it works. Right now, I think that maybe all the teams that we are playing here, we are not in the best shape, but I think that they are really good teams. They were playing in, for example, Fiend were playing in the IM not long time ago. BIG was playing with us in IM and PGL Major, so they are opponents that can easily destroy us. So we have to give everything that we have. Just only for at least for don't have regrets in our career. So we only have to focus on the game, see what happens. But they are super strong. To be honest, I don't mind. I don't really mind, because as I told you, everything can win everyone in this game nowadays. So doesn't really matter. If it's for me, I would like to play against BIG maybe. But this because they are really such a good people. I used to talk with them. If we are in the hotel, we are like friends. So I would like to play against them, because it's going to be a super funny game.
Well, you'd have to go all the way to the finals if you do want to face off against Big, and they would have to also get there by beating Gambit at the same time. So it's a long road away from that. They've got Fiend in front of them right now. And for Movistar, right, as a team right now, they were on the rise, but in an event like this, we need to see a good performance come out from them.
Yeah, this is a true test for them, so to speak, right? A team in Fiend that's not to be underestimated, but obviously playing with a stand-in, right? That's always, you always hate to face a team. You always hate to face a team like that, right? Because you know there's going to be less pressure on them.
Yep.
You know they're going to go for some plays and have some plays that don't really make a lot of sense necessarily. So that makes you second guess yourself at times, right? Like you want to make the correct play, but then you're thinking, well, they might not make the correct play, and then my play is not correct either, right? It becomes this sort of
spiral.
In the end, you need to believe in your game and kind of trust the fundamentals and believe in the fundamentals, and that's going to give you the edge in the long run.
I mean, you saw, that's what he said as well, you know, on that Inferno against Sinners, they saw the game escaping from them, and really what brought them the victory was just sitting down, calming down, just trusting our game plan, you know, mentally reset, we can do this, just trust the game plan.
And in terms of actually looking at the firepower between these two teams, right, where would we give the edge on it? Because if you say teamwork, you know, the fact that Fiend's got to stand in, you're definitely going to give like the tactical side and the readiness side over to Movistars. But we've seen some pretty good, heavy-hitting performances come out from the Fiend players.
I think I'd probably give it to Fiend, to be honest, you know, because they may be a little bit more inconsistent, but I think it's definitely there because, you know, Harn is their primary opper, but before they brought him, Red Star was the primary opper. So then they have a super capable secondary opper. So the double op setup on the CT side on Mirage, we've seen it time and time again. It's super potent for them. Dreamer, he's been, you know, around for a long time, had, you know, great games even before against tier 1 opposition. Finally, the kind of VAG ban thing allowed them to get back into the swing of things, which I think it's great for the Bulgarian scene. So yeah, there's talent all over the place. I think if they're going to have the edge, it's going to be that. Some massive rounds in the swing rounds, you know, the 2v3s, someone goes out and gets a big double kill that swings the round. That has to be the way for Fiend to win this game.
Meanwhile, on the Movistar side, you know, obviously you have Sampayos, birthday boy, happy birthday by the way. just opening up the rounds for his team on Inferno, right? So we saw that one round, which we also highlighted in the segment, where it's like he gets the AWP off Neofrag and then basically gets 4 quick kills, which really secures the rounds for them. And that's the type of initiative he needs to take in this if he wants to match that double up, by Horn and Red Star.
Well, let's get our teams ready. Let's get them onto the stage. And to start with, let's welcome on Fiend.
I don't wanna cry.
The Bulgarian side ready for action, but now we're going to look at their opponents in Movistar Riders and see what they can offer in a matchup that's certainly going to be tough for both sides. So please welcome on Movistar Riders. The Spaniards are always fired up and ready, but they may need to conserve some of that energy across this best of 3 because it may be going the distance. And I guess we start to look at what maps are potentially going to be coming on through, because in this one of what you guys already said, right, you touched on what maps are potentially there. So let's see what we're going to get across this best of 3. There we go. Nuke, Mirage, and Inferno coming in as it decided. So you were right, Janko, pretty much on the money on all of it.
Yeah, I think that was pretty clear, at least when it comes to the picks. I think also for the bans, it's interesting to see that Movistar themselves vetoed Overpass, right? That basically tells you, it's going to be Inferno. There's no way Fiend is gonna let Ancient through as the decider. It just makes the most sense, even though you would wish if you're a Movistar that you can throw a curveball in there. This is just makes the most sense for you. Even though it gives a good chance to Fiend, you just have to believe in yourself, in your own game, and that you'll be able to outplay them.
And the Fiend picks make sense as well, right? Mirage, that's the map which they had a lot of success on, at least against Big, taking them to overtime, getting that mid control, having the openings, and I think that's something which I would comfortably put in the Fiend area. And then of course the decider, well, we saw Movistars on it yesterday, right? And should be a coin flip, I guess.
We're a little bit split when it comes to our predictions out here.
Yeah, I think it's a good pull for Fiend to upset, but I just think kind of the teamwork of Movistar is supposed to push them through. I also think once they had a couple of games under their belt, they looked much better. But Fiend on Mirage, more infamously, they beat FaZe on it in the last game at IEM Fall to basically make FaZe dependent on other teams to make it into the major. And they had that heartbreaking loss on Nuke as well, in triple overtime to Copenhagen Flames. That was the decider who goes to the major and who doesn't. Both maps overtime. So it could be a chance for them to make up for that here at V4. Definitely the same, like, definitely the same return, right? But,
it's something. You'll
take anything at this point, right?
Exactly. And what we'll take now is our amazing commentators. This time around, you've got Dinko and Hawker to guide you through this best of 3.
Thank you very much, James. We're hopping into this matchup, and to really paint the story of how close this should be, we're looking at number 17 in Movistar Riders in the world ranking, and number 18 in the form of Fiend. They're as close as you can get it on the HLTV world ranking, Hawker. This is going to be a close game, and it really is a hard one to call, and I can see why the predictions are so chopping and changing, but I've got to side with Movistar Riders. I think the team play, as Yankee was pointing out, should just carry them through here.
Yeah, I would tend to agree, but I'm also absolutely understanding of why you would pick Fiend with this map pool. They're getting comfortable maps for themselves. They've got their notebooks out. They're ready. They're in the Counter-Strike mindset, Dinko. That's what you want to see.
It's never easy to predict against the Bulgarians, right? It's never easy to do that. But, when you're looking at the fact they have got a stand-in, it was very interesting to hear from Bubble in that pre-game interview talking about the difficulties he's had maybe being an IGL when it comes to calling with the stand-in. And this stand-in isn't just any stand-in. It's Ships, right? He plays for the rival Bulgarian side in Skade. He's played for a team under these players as well before in his past, so he's very familiar with them. And just 2 days before they flew out before this event, actually, they had a matchup versus Skade and beat them 2-1, I believe it was. And Ships went 74 and 56 with a 1.31 rating against them. And then they decided, well, you're a pretty good stand-in. And they picked him up and flew out to Budapest with him 2 days later. And now he's standing in for the side. He hasn't really got away with as much aggressive plays as I was expecting, though, Hawker. We haven't seen that level of performance out of Ships too often for Fiend.
That's actually going to be a fun thing to watch for in this series, because Ships has been super aggressive on T side, but so has Mopos. Those two are trying by far the most opening kills on T side at this tournament. Yes. Both of them are at a 38% opening kill percentage attempted rate on their T side. The next closest player in the tournament is 10 percentage points behind, down at 28%. So those two are standout, real aggressive fraggers on that T side. And if one of those can have a really good game, that can absolutely just carry you a map at times.
Yeah, and Alex is actually the most successful player at the event in attempting opening. Joel has got an 81.8% win rate in terms of those openings. So Movistar Riders, they have only played 3 maps, but they top a lot of the charts. They top a lot of the leaderboards coming into this event. But the one problem I have with them, Hawker, the only team they've beat so far is Sinners. And Sinners, to us, look deflated. They look like a team that everybody was having a go at. And Tropic destroyed them 16-2. Sinners were in the elimination match on day 1 of the play-in, on the elimination match on the day 1 of this event, and got sent home. Sinners are not playing to the level we know they are. You can't really reach that too much into that result anymore. Movistar Riders lost to Enterprise in day 1, and they just about get through against the Sinners. A couple of close comebacks there from Sinners as they begin to come back into the game. This is the true test for Movistar to see if they really are going to be a team that is going to challenge some of the better teams within this tournament, and Fiend are the perfect roster to be that first hurdle to see where they are in this competition.
You could also say that Fiend in the play-in had a somewhat similar start to the tournament, though. They lost their opening best of 1 against Team Hungary, remember, and had to bounce back from that scenario. So we've seen a lot of the favorites lose in their opening matchups. And in general, it feels like those teams have been able to bounce back. They have been able to come on through. We even saw Gambit today lose that first map and then bounce back. So generally, it seems like the teams who have that class are coming out on top eventually. And just with Movistar Riders having their 5 players here, I have to edge it towards them, but I think this is a very close matchup.
And looking towards the Movistar Riders, who's your player to watch?
Ooh, it's a good question. I think it's hard not to pick Sun Pius on the AWP, just because he's come out of nowhere for this team and been so consistently so good for them. Especially on CT, I love how active he gets at times.
Yeah, well, we're hopping right into things. Second quarterfinal underway. Movistar Riders looking to take down Fiend. It's a charge out on the T side for the Spanish side as they run their way down into the A site. It's quick, they've taken the site. In fact, Fiend have kept all of their players alive. They'll be looking for the retake attempt to come back in from Heaven. Bubble is the front man in that attack, but Harn, he's getting tagged up. He's been spotted as he tries to flank around from ramp room. Did have a teammate in behind him as well, but none of the kills are going in favor here of the Bulgarians. Sampaio is dead, so now Mopos chiming in for the T side. It kills, and they just keep finding them. It's just Ships alone. They haven't really even got close to retaking that site, and the pistol will go the way of Movistar.
It's just so quick for Movistar Riders. They're out onto the A site before I can even really realize what's going on. And Fiend clearly weren't aware of that either. They tried to rotate in, tried to have some players just jumping down onto the site, but Movistar Riders too quick out of the gates here.
Yeah, Movistar off to a great start coming into this buy. It's not going to be the most fantastic purchase for Team Fiend, but you know, this team are so good at winning these kind of rounds, Hawk. Sometimes it is hard to put it past them picking up these ones.
They're a team that also play with no fear. As Yanko pointed out, that 16-6 win against FaZe, I think, really got a lot of people looking at them and realizing they're a team who are always going to play their own game. Those yard smokes looked slightly off. There we go. The third one just took its time. No angle for ships, so yard control will be taken. Slowly but surely, Movistar Riders crossing. Ships is trying to echolocate them through the smoke. Apparently, he's not a bat.
Batman. Let's go to round 2. Fiend. They're a team that really you can get away with saying that they play their own game. We know players love to say that in interviews. No, I'll play my own game, hit my shots. Fiend are a team that literally do that, and they don't care who's on the other side of the server. They don't really care at all. And Fiend have played pretty well in this competition so far in the main event. Good showing against Big. Just a couple of close maps there with a 19-17. On the first map of Mirage, couldn't quite get through Big and cut them down in that one. That was a very scary affair. And Drowlon in the green room, I'm sure, was sweating about it.
Take a look at this rotate. They've got 4 players down on B, ready for the stack. Red Star around the corner gets one, and there are still more players waiting around the corners.
Yeah, Dabby G find himself a couple. Does get caught with the ball on his back, though. Now that's on the floor. Ship's starting to try and pull this one back, and this is what we talk about with the Bulgarians. They can sometimes make these rounds scary. Luckily, Movistar have recovered with a couple of kills, and now just Bubble into the vent. And it's a slow and weird and awkward fight for Bubble to try and get into the vent, but eventually does. Goes around the corner whilst reloading that MAC-10. It wasn't quite ready for the fight. 2-0 for Movistar Riders as they get the good start, but not without taking players down there. That get a little bit scary with the rotation from Fiend.
Yeah, they've got out the gates pretty good early. I'm going to try and throw in as many horse references as I can because it's the Movistar Riders. You know?
I was wondering where that was going.
Yeah.
I was really wondering where that one was going with the horses, Olga, but okay.
I don't know much about horse racing, sadly. I've never actually been.
Maybe they're motorbike. Maybe it's a motorbike gang.
Oh, maybe. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, they ride motorbikes or mopeds. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or bicycles.
We'll have to ask them.
As they do have a cycling team.
Do they?
Yeah. One of the biggest in the world.
Oh, well, I am clearly showing my ignorance here.
Yes. I think they have their most famous cyclist is Colombian, Nairo Quintana. So if you guys are interested in that, I suppose that's something you can look at. But Spanish side's always fun to watch in traditional sports, and now we've got a team in Counter-Strike finally putting it together. The really cool thing about this side is, you know, obviously they had Smuya and they had Shocks in the team and it wasn't Spanish, and they also had Steel over from Brazil, kind of lost that Spanish identity. But I think, you know, with this move, I was really worried about it, honestly. I look at this team and I thought that move was going to drop their success rate. I thought it was going to make this team drop off significantly. Obviously now we know that Senpais is a revelation, a player that can certainly step up. And the team environment, when we see them around the event, they just seem like they get along. They're really good energy around the side, and that certainly goes a long way. In this round, though, they have evaded Harn, but Deaths is able to trade it out. One of the more experienced players within this roster has been around a lot of Spanish teams, Hawker, throughout his career.
Just against the Pistols here, so it is going as you would expect so far for Movistar Riders. It should be a free round for them. They are running down the clock with 30 seconds remaining. But a couple of players have that B site for free, so even though they're spread out, they're good to go.
Yeah, I love the respect from Movistar. You just don't want to lose anything. Do not give the Bulgarians a single chance, because they will start to take a mile and give them some inches. And he's had a good round here. He'll clean it up. Deaths gets the ace for all 5 kills right to start this game off. Deaths comes in with 5 against the Eco.
That's my kind of ace right there, Dinko. That's my kind of ace.
That's all you get. That's all that you pick up, Hawker.
That is all I'll be getting. But we have to focus on this gun round because Team Fiend finally have rifles out. And we heard the desk talk about that double AWP setup you have sometimes for Fiend. Here on Nuke, this is the map where Red Star will actually often do more AWPing than Harn. Harn didn't play Nuke on his old team, so he's not comfortable playing around that yard. He will normally play in ramp, and that means Red Star will oftentimes be the primary AWPer and the AWPer making the plays on this map.
And we've seen them on this map already before, and we've seen that impact that Red Star can deliver. He's had some crucial performances in this competition already, in particular in that play-in stage when Fiend did go down to that elimination game, as you pointed out earlier. They were down and out in that elimination game starting off the day. Red Star had some huge carry performances on Dust 2 when Harn and Ships' double up setup wasn't working, Red Star was getting involved and finding a lot of big impact. And on Inferno in particular, he's had so many of those huge step-ups individually. Red Star has definitely been the other player to look out here for Fiend. He's pulled them out of a lot of holes. But here we go, right into the gun round. 3-0 start here for Movistar Riders. We'll see if Team Fiend can break them back.
Fast play could come through with the map 10. Morpos, a man who's known for his aggression, flies out into A and finds the entry.
Great opening. Red Star, though, with the AWP, has come to trade it out. Dreamer at the back of the A site is going to try and pick up a next victim and claim his rewards, but it's Ships that's taking those away from him. Good hold here from the Bulgarians. Sampius and Alex. 2 players left in this 2v4, and Movistar will not be happy with how this has gone, especially because they found that opening, but now they've got to turn their attentions elsewhere.
Look at this play, though. They're down onto B. They have a free bomb plant, and if Alex could try and get some kills cutting off the rotates, then maybe they've got a chance at making something happen here.
Harn's damaged. He doesn't want to go alone. He wants to make sure his teammates are in behind him. He would go down with just a little tickle. So all of his teammates starting to come down through ramp. Every single remaining player from Fiend are coming back through the ramparts. Movistar luckily get the bomb down. Sampius holds position at Dark, and Alex with 1 kill has drawn the numbers back, and in fact Sampius' kill now drops him into even odds as he goes for more. Sampius taking everybody down, and finally Red Star, but he has to win it all. He has to pick it up on his own, and the little door flash is perfect as it goes to the Hobbit hole. Alex peeks, but the defuse was stuck all the way. Red Star just held it with a scope, just scoping in and out. I thought Alex was going to swing to the doorway, but he didn't get it done, Hawker. Alex hid behind the doors, thinking the flash would be enough to force him off the defuse. But if there's one thing you don't mess with, is Bulgarians and their big balls.
Oh man, it was a really nice response from Movistar too. Alex had that vent area cut off. He came down vents himself, so they knew it was likely a full retake from ramp. They focused fully on that angle initially. They find a couple of different angles to take those fights. As you pointed out, the defuse, balls of steel to stick that one once the flash comes in towards you. You think that Alex might have the info, but didn't quite spot that player. The Movistar Riders fans always out in full force, and they are again here in this one.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair having fan competitions, but if you want to have your say and you're Bulgaria, you want to draw these numbers back, you can vote on Instagram /V4 Future Sports. Red Star, gap in the bottom of the smoke towards credit card. Good kill for him on the Alex, taking him out. Not involved in a successful opening duel there at all, as the numbers now dwindled down into a 4v4.
That's already on top main. Red Star having to watch Yard with the M4 this time, which might make things slightly more difficult. Especially as Davy G is down secret. This is some good ground gained for Movistar Riders. It may be difficult to group up and make the most of that player down below, but it's definitely something that Fiend have to be aware of, and they haven't really responded to Davy G down below right now.
Yeah, Fiend just happy with the hut control they have now for the time being. Ships in a more advanced position. It is on Movistar over the next 35 seconds to make a play. You see that deeper smoke coming up, usually allows vent access for the T side, and there's no one there for Fiend to try and stop this. They're going to go down in towards this B site. They have got Harn down here lower at the ready alongside Red Star to try and take out these players. Red Star and Harn can so often be a dynamic duo that can shut down all of the attacks. Red Star with 1, but he's whiffed his lines here, Harn, and that's going to put Red Star in a very difficult position to try and do the rest of the work. Movistar Riders some crucial kills into the late round, and now the bomb is down.
Dreamer's got one back. Still doable here for Fiend, but they've got to get a move on. They're still up on the wrong side of the map, and they don't even have a kit right now.
Oh, this is going to be very difficult with the limited utility as well. They've just got to hope they can find the fights quickly. If they don't, well, it's starting to get to that territory now where you wouldn't call against a save. Their time is certainly limited, and the post-plant positions are strong. Trying to spam through the floorway, and it's not going to be happening. Mopar is in position, Deaths with the follow-up, and Fiend will not pull off the retake, but Ships does get a little parting gift from the grave on the way out.
Nice attempt there from Fiend of that crossfire down on B, but Red Star's in a position where he's pretty exposed. It's very hard for him to fall back, so he has to just win that first fight. As soon as that goes against him, any chance of a crossfire is taken away from Fiend. Star Riders starting strong here, and this is a map that I would say should be fairly favored. I think both teams' map picks are fairly likely to be won by each squad, and then it's likely to go to that third map, and we're already seeing why here. Movistar Riders are looking real solid at the start of Nuke.
Yeah, they're able to just slow it down, and that comes back to that point that Janko brought up on the desk, the team play from Movistar. We're going to see a lot of it throughout this first map. that's charging through the entry ability. He has opened it up, but here come the Bulgarians with the Deagles. Bomb down. Dreamer with an impact kill, but the rest of his team just don't really have the resources, and luckily Sampius is able to keep the Dream alive. Another messy round. Movistar lose players, and not enough done from Team Fiend to win the round. Money's back in the bank of the Bulgarians, though.
Yeah, very reliant on the utility there as you enter that A site. So if that player up above in the rafters isn't blind, he's actually got a pretty good position with the Deeg, and you see Dreamer even taking the fight to them. 5-1 lead though, Movistar Riders still looking strong. We have got that AWP back out for Red Star though. Keeping an eye on whether he can be the difference maker. This is actually the only map for Fiend where Han isn't their highest rated player. Red Star is the highest rated player on this map specifically with that AWP.
And Han going to be tested in towards ramp. Can often be very unforgiving role, the ramp player. And Han, forced to offer some utility, decides to play more passive, allows for rotations, but Red Star attempting the wall binds. They have conceded ramp room to the Movistar side. They just forced them back without much of a fight at all. And now they might just signal straight down to B. Han doesn't have that Red Star rotate to help him out yet.
It may have to be an A player rotating down instead, but they still haven't gone for that yet. And Han is repositioning right now, faking the door open and going back to the closer angle.
And this reaggression might help out. It might be enough just for that element of surprise to maybe take one, but Han really needs 2 kills in this position. Big performance is required from his rotate down, especially with no challenge on the initial fight. But now, utility starting to come in from Movistar. Sound cues being made by the Molotov, and they swing into Han. He gets a double kill. That's his job done. That's what he was needed to do. The bomb is down in the open. Rotations have started to come through. Ships is already at decon, but it's Bubble in the vent. It might be first contact onto Mopas, but they don't actually get that fight onto each other. Bomb has been recovered here from Movistar.
Such an overperformance from Han, and now Ships just goes for the fights, not wasting any time.
Yeah, big kills from Ships coming through, and Mopas swings open the double doors. Bubble in with 1, Bubble with a 2nd. Alex and Mopas go down, and what a showing from Han.
So impressive that he gets 2 kills out of that scenario. And that is the sort of round that you see Fiend win, and you think to yourself, this is the kind of round we have to see for them to win this game. Movistar do a pretty good job at gaining the early map control, showing good team play, taking away the information from Fiend. They weren't really sure whether it would be the B play. If that's a clean entry and a kill, that's probably a round win.
It should have been a clean entry. I think you got to certainly touch on that point, because Han, he got forced out of his close, tight position, forced into the wide fight. They heard the sound cue with this tick on the Molotov, and they were so ready, you could see just coming out of rafters. Spacing did look a little off for the second player, and Han gets a second to react for the second kill. But that's a very difficult scenario for Han to be able to deliver in, and he is showing comfortability on the M4.
Ramp players around the world cheering Han on after that one.
Yeah, I mean, the ramp position is, yes, unforgiving, but also so important. How many teams do we see who have a weak ramp player and it just gets exploited time and time again?
You trying to call me out when we play Pugs together?
Yeah, no, I just go ramp when we were playing together. Hawk.
Literally true. I made you go ramp for me one time because I just died there every round.
I mean, it's fair. You do actually have to rely a lot on rotations down, and that's where Red Star and Han actually seem to have a great synergy on this map in particular. You see them play very well together. They can get down and towards that lower side. Red Star is usually very quick at making those rotations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so nice for Fiend just having that ability to have Red Star AWP on this map, right? Yeah. Being a primary AWPer before, he can just go ahead and fill that role for the team again. A lot of AWPers oftentimes are not the kind of players that are just willing to give up that AWP role. But it's nice to see that Red Star has been happy to do that. Han clearly a very talented AWPer in his own right.
This is cool from the Movistar Riders as well, Hawk. Speaking of Red Star, they're going to try and just overrun him with the Glock. So they knew he would likely be playing this position from heaven. They run boost to try and offset his crosshair, and they get into this tight position at hell. What a shot from Deaths as well. Han is out of the round.
Still a long way to actually win this round for Movistar Riders, though, considering how weak the investment was.
Bomb has got down, though. No one's on the site right now, so they could try and get in with a bomb plan.
There's been a couple of rounds where that rotate down to B has been slow. This time, obviously, Han getting picked is part of it, but a free bomb plant would be lovely.
Yeah, and Mopos could cause some problems here as well, but that rotation's coming in down the vent. It's been a quick rotate, and a better weapon now available. Bubble has taken out Davy G. Mopos does have an M4. Again, they're not really looking to win this round because the bomb is the main goal, but they try. Alex will get taken out as he tries to defend the defuse, but it will have to come through. Fiend will pick up the defuse, they pick up the round win, but that is a win in the eyes of Movistar Riders. You come into that with barely anything, a couple of upgraded Deagles, Holker. You're just loving the fact that you got that quick control when you tested the AWP and overrun him, and you get a bomb plant out of it. I'm keen to see if that rotation down to B, Hawk, that you just mentioned is going to be a problem in the gun rounds.
We haven't seen a single round where Fiend have wanted to rotate down the vents, it seems, and fight early for Secret. So definitely something worth keeping an eye on as this game goes on. For now, though, I believe this is the first time Pius has had that AWP in his hands. Maybe a chance for him to try and get an opener.
Second highest rated player at this event at the moment, heading into this best of three, Pius. He's certainly the man to watch for Movistar Riders. Tried to open the round, but utility forced him back behind the door.
Always important to make sure you don't lose that early pick through Squeaky. It's pretty much the only position on Nuke where you can take an even 1v1 fight and feel like it is just going to come down to who can out-aim each other. In a lot of other positions, there are other angles to be aware of. It's hard to force the issue. The flash comes through. Ships swinging out wide. And that is something we've seen from Ships often. But this time, Movistar Riders were ready to counter him.
Sometimes hard to control the ship in a windy sea as Bubble will pull back Davy. That's the kill into play. 4v4 once again established as we go under a minute.
Yard control taken, but they haven't been able to gain any further ground from that. There is still the ability for an A split right now. It looks as though that bomb is eventually going to go down Secret, and yet again, they want to test those rotates down to B, but the time is low, and Mopos is on the lurk.
Yeah, Mopos, he's been finding himself in a lot of these spots, Hawker, throughout this first half. He's in great positions time and time again. Let's see if he can get any impact out of it.
They could really do with an A kill here just to keep these players in place because the time is low and they're really tentatively taking B right now.
He's got to catch the timing onto Dreamer to catch him out of position, and that is exactly what happens. He walks right into the crosshair and down into B they go. The AK Bubbles swings in behind and Pius is down. Alongside him, Deaths and also the bomb. It's on Alex and Mopos to create that space back, and there's not enough time, of course, so Alex just tucking back in the corner. It's all about staying alive, and they're putting pressure on him after the time. They're trying to bring him down, and luckily for Alex, he will stay alive. He will keep his resources, he will keep his AK, and make sure that they don't get the damage done. And indeed, it is a celebration. Pius' birthday, as Drylan pointed out at the desk, so happy birthday to him. See if you can get a good birthday present. It'd be pretty bad to lose on your birthday, wouldn't it?
It was actually Jay's birthday as well, on one of the earlier days, and the hotel got him a nice little gift, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They gave him a little cake, and that was awesome to see. So happy birthday to Jay. He's now
for a few days ago.
Yeah, he's now halfway to 50 as he loves to be reminded.
Yeah, that's a very nice way of phrasing it, Dinko. You're so kind.
Yes. He's closer to 30 than he was 20 now.
Well, here's that fast rotate. Finally got ships down towards B early, putting this smoke down. This is something we hadn't seen from Fiend so far. It looks like it has stopped Movistar Riders from moving forwards, at least for now.
Yeah. Banks is halfway to 60, so it could be worse. Playing the Ships' rifle.
Gotta use our youth while we can.
We can. But they use it against us sometimes, Olga, but we have a strength here. Ships playing down on the lower ball side. They're trying to boost over the top of those stairs. Senpai is trying to crack open the round. He just couldn't get that opening. But it's cool to see Movistar using some of that team play, trying to use some of the gimmicks to open up play. Although with 55 seconds left, they haven't. And that has created some space and some information plays for Red Stars. He peeks down towards outside with the AWP. He's taking Deaths out. Davy G now cracking back into the round himself. Harn down the lower side is playing in and around this very strong stairs position. But Mopos once again in one of those good spots, Hawker.
They might just wait for him on the aggressive lurk here. They might not want to force the fights. Mopos still wrapping in behind. He may not want to go down ramp, but it's going to be quite difficult for these players to fly back up the vents to A.
Oh, this is really leaving it to crunch time and putting a lot of pressure on Mopos' shoulders. He's trying to wrap around, getting into good position while his teammates are ready to explode up the vent, but Fiend have made the very good call to take Hut and lobby control back, and they luckily trade that out quickly. Shot immediately onto Davy G, but Pius makes quick work of his recipient. And now it is going to be a bomb plant for Movistar Riders and into the 2 versus 3. Yes, it's been hard to get in this position, but it's going to be even harder to hold it on. Dreamers come in with a headshot, and Mopos is out of the round, and now the star of the show really needs to shine bright, and it's not going to happen. Dreamer in with a 2K. And Movistar Riders now lose the lead as Fiend will tie it up.
We're seeing just how important Mopos' lurks can be for this Movistar Riders team. Sometimes he will actually be the player to just go aggressive first, but sometimes he'll go for these aggressive lurks where he's trying to take space away. The issue in that round is, as he flanks up to the A site, he can clear the site itself from Heaven, but he can't clear Squeaky. And Fiend have already pushed into lobby, so they have a player watching that angle, ready for the push up through the vents. And then because the plant comes in with such little time remaining, it has to be a safe plant behind the site. They have to play the post plant from the site itself, and it's easy for Fiend to line up those frags. It's a good recovery from Fiend.
This is going to be quick here from Mopos. They'll flash just go through. They're so good from his teammates, and Mopos does open up the round. He upgrades his weapon and finds the second. So quick from the Movistar Riders. A little bit of Spanish spice into the mix as they get themselves into the site. It's now just Red Star and a 1v3 retake with an AWP. Certainly easier opportunities. He sets up the one-way. Still run out. Just going to run in with the USP instead. Doesn't want to give away the AWP. And they look for it, but they'll not find what they were looking for here on Movistar. But a round win nonetheless. They reclaim the lead with a little gimmick, I would say, with an A play like that.
A bit of Spanish spice, as you said, and apparently the Bulgarians aren't used to that. Maybe they stick to their own cuisine more often than not, because Mopos, the fact that he switches out to the M4 there, so ballsy. You know there's going to be more players around that A site, but you just know the flashes are good enough.
Yeah.
And he actually gets a kill with it.
I think Mopos was blinded for a time in the site as well. Just having a great time is the entry. And, you know, a lot of successful entry players will admit, you know, some of the time you do have to just do your job while blinded. There is always going to be an opportunity where you do get flashed, but you just need to create that space. And that is a strength of Movistar so far in this game, is their ability to take some space. And earlier today, we heard Bubble say that that was a weakness of Fiend. So I'm excited to see going into the T side, will they be able to take that space as effectively as Movistar? Because right now they have obviously a deep strat book. It feels like they've got a lot of responses available for Movistar into Nuke. They can change the pace, they can go slow and have these late round executes. There's a lot to play with here for Movistar. And for Fiend, it's quite difficult to combat such an experienced team with a stand-in.
Back into action. Back into gun rounds. Into round number 12.
Back in the game.
Back at it again.
For the white fans.
That is not a reference that's common to hear in the year 2021.
21?
Oh my god, he's going for all of them.
Yeah, it is a year 21. You know, you gotta go roll back the years for your old memes. Red Star, he scoped in down in towards lobby. A couple of players set up in the site for Fiend. And Red Star is just so patient, but has taken an advanced position. But this is one of the slower rounds I was talking about from Movistar. They don't mind slowing down the play. They can, but here comes the explosive ability that they've got. Davy G this time with the opening. Mopos coming in with a follow-up, and now it's a 3 versus 4. Movistar have to deal with ships who's come flying up the vent, and they just weren't ready for that. Absolutely wilding out of control, and finally put down. Oh, like a rabid dog, he's out of the round, and Sampaius 1 versus 2 to try and recover the round for the Spanish side. He is at vent. Damage has been inflicted on Harn, who is now down in 2 HP. And there is time for Sampaius to pick this bomb up and try and win out the round.
There's a chance Sampaius tries to go down to lower at some point here because he saw that player on yard earlier. I don't think he had any idea where the second player was positioned, though. So as he starts to move into ramp, he won't be fully sure that he's safe, but he seems pretty confident he is. Knife out, straight down to B. Hans getting down to this lower side of the map, though.
Yeah, Sampaius, does he commit straight away to the bomb plant? He is going to go for it, and that just allows Harn the 3-round win. The bomb plant wasn't even confirmed. Fiend tied that up, and Harn, I love the commitment into the fight there.
Movistar is switching up there. Playstyle slightly too. A lot of rounds previously were ending down towards lower. They were looking to slowly crunch in on that lower side of the map. Now we're seeing these explosive plays up, but Ships is playing with pure freedom right now. Pure joy, as the Swedes would say.
Shout out Pronax one time.
I miss Pronax.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Nice. It was weird the other day looking at Fnatic in Godsend game. It's kind of throwback to the times where Sweden used to have 2 teams like that. Now it's a UK versus Brazil matchup.
That will never look right in my head.
Never look right in the server either.
Ooh, Ships going aggressive again, but they've slipped past him.
Ships in the night, perhaps, but Ships gets caught. Alex finds his light, and now it's a chance to fight into the site. And checking kills down, there's just 2 players left for the CTs. Red Star's going to peer over the top. Flash goes in, and Tobias runs around the backside. Nice flick from Red Star, but he's caught by Alex in 7 rounds now. Read on the scoreboard. Movistar, they're getting the rounds, but they are taking damage in every single one of them.
It looks like they have call for a complete switch up. That cable was very, very knotted. Blade was not happy about it. He was just chucking it to the side.
You know, a little tip for everybody at home that still uses wired stuff. If it is tangled up, just pick it up by the cable, have the headset hang down, and just let it unravel itself. It's a perfect trick.
Oh, you haven't seen how knotted my cables get, Dinka.
Well, Hawk, I'm sure this technique would help you. I'll give you some tips. I'll even demonstrate it later. You were actually looking up tutorials on how to iron a shirt the other day, so
listen,
I don't know what you need to know. Sometimes
it's a struggle, okay?
I literally walk into your room, it's just on the screen. How to iron a shirt. Tutorial for dummies.
It was very helpful. Shirt is now ironed, and Mompos is ironing out this round. Apparently, Movistar Riders are just finding success off the back of these early plays.
Yeah, Horn down in the lower bomb site. Bubbles about to flick around and just gets caught by Alex, who is comfortable enough taking those headshots. Horn, just an eagle in hand. Death has been picked out, and Horn now has an AK. A second kill for Horn, and the door closes, and suddenly you start to believe, but believing can sometimes get you nowhere. 8 rounds for Movistar Riders. They've already won the half by a minimum of 1, but there's still a few rounds, well, 1 round left in play as we enter the last round of the first half. Team Fiend would love to pick up a 7th, and Movistar would love to lead 9-6 in the first half of their map pick.
Fiend's economy has just been shot in the leg here at the end of the half. Having to force up in the previous wasn't ideal, and now they only have pistols to work with into the last round of the half.
This is definitely going to be a difficult shout for Fiend to grab 7. Movistar primed to take a 9th. Alex fighting towards outside. Actually started taking damage first, but was able to figure out where he's being shot from in time just before that smoke popped up. And Red Star is the victim of the AK. Seen a Gambit sticker on the Deagle there, emblazoned on Horn. Fiend actually took down Gambit to get to this point, 16-9 in the main event. So, you know, definitely a deadly side, but in these rounds, they definitely pose less of a threat. Alex is still aware that there could be pesky players around him, and he will certainly stick around to find his victims. Horn and Ships now go down. Just Dreamer left alone, trying his best. He gets caught by Alex. 9-6 half from Movistar. Looking good on their map pick, looking strong. And it does come back to the point that Janko brought up. The team play of the Movistar side is certainly what has got them through this half. I think brawl for brawl, I think Fiend were able to take it to them, but Movistar had little techniques and late round executes that were able to pull them off with some great utility.
And you saw that string of rounds come through in the middle of the half for Fiend. But Movistar Riders adapted fairly fast. They showed us some of the depth they have in their playbook, starting to go for more A plays, more yard plays. This round eventually ended up being fairly comfortable as the trades were successful. Alex getting a lot of ground towards yard, and that is all they needed to get a 9-6 half. The Spaniards will be happy with how it's going so far, but they'll be aware there is still more work to do.
Plenty more work going into the second half. We just recap everything that went down in the pregame. Second map will be Mirage. Fiend picked that one. And if needed, Inferno is left over in this series. Movistar Riders favored to win Nuke. We'll see if they get off with a pistol start in the second half as well. Davy G is that ramp player. We'll see if he gets overrun by the Glocks as they don't stop. They keep coming for him, and he's caught in the window, and he just needs one. He's not landing anything, though, and he will go down without a fight. Sapias rotates down, but only one from him. This is not enough output from Movistar, and Fiend will be happy about taking the site. They've now got a man advantage. They've got the bomb plant. This is looking good for a pistol win.
Movistar Riders were hoping for overextensions, but Fiend realized if they just stay compact on that B-bomb site, they should be able to trade their way to success.
Dreamer's coming back, and he's going to find himself a headshot. Just 2 players left now from Movistar Riders, and if their chances were low to win the round before, they are now gone, completely shot, and I think they realized that as well. So instead of stomaching a loss in the retake, they decide to take their weapons away, saving the kit and the smoke on Deaths, and the Kevlar on the back of Alex.
If Dreamer loses that fight at ramp, it actually becomes a much more awkward scenario for Fiend there, because you saw their setup on the site. They had a player playing on top of Silo, another man in and around those rafters. If he gets exposed from the ramp angle, there was no other player to cover that off, and it could have been a scenario where that USP got some long-range fights it was looking for. So good understanding from Dreamer there that he had to take some initiative. Normally will be a player who oftentimes likes to lurk more or likes to be more at the back of the pack, but he knows when he needs to take those fights. It's a good example of that. Now Movistar Riders are the ones who have to go for the weak investment. Just one FAMAS here in terms of primary weapons.
And for Team Fiend, it's a quick reply with 3 MAC-10s. It frees them up and speeds them up. As they charge their way down the vents, everybody's down there already. They've swarmed the B side, but Alex has rotated down, aware of this possibility. And with the skin Ships has in hand, he needs to be like a poison dart frog and take a couple of kills alongside him. 1 kill bubble. Find Alex, money starting to go into the bank. Hero Fiend as the time will tick away. Movistar Riders trying to find their way back in. Again, they do have that kit thanks to death save in the pistol. Very unlikely round again. And if they lose this round, they are not going to have anything in the next. And Harn is getting in behind him. They are aware of that possibility. Now Death's down. Round might die with him. And Ships now moves forward, more aggressive on the MAC-10s, more aggressive in terms of stomping authority all over this one. Movistar Riders have no money in the bank. This is looking good to tie up the scoreline now for Fiend.
And clean things up eventually. Should be fine to survive to the bomb. Nuke has that lower blast radius. And I don't think there was any action at the end of the round there either. 1 round in it. And this round is not one that should be competitive. Movistar Riders have almost nothing to work with here. These are the sorts of rounds that if you are a true professional team, if you really are one of those squads that takes every round 100% seriously, you will still want to make sure you don't lose any guns in this one. I was looking at football recently, speaking of professionalism, right? You know, Steven Gerrard, the new Aston Villa boss, apparently has banned ketchup. He banned ketchup.
From the team?
From the team. The players aren't allowed ketchup. Apparently it's really unhealthy. Oh, hello, Mopos.
Has a lot of sugar. And that's a sweet play from Mopos, getting it aggressive with the 2K. He's got a FAMAS in play now as well, and they're turning this into a dangerous situation as Fiend are just down to 2 players. Mopos very low on health though, so we have to really temper our expectations for him coming into this. Tries his best, but Red Star just needed to land a couple of body shots, and we'll do that. Good damage done though from Movistar Riders, but it's like having some chips without some ketchup, Hulk. It's not
I couldn't
really
do it,
the full
man.
package,
I couldn't
is
live
it?
without the ketchup. I couldn't. Anytime I don't like the taste of something, bang some ketchup on.
Just
Boom.
sugar. Just throw sugar onto it, essentially.
Exactly.
Pretty weird, but
I wonder
you
if
can
we'll get to
understand
that point in CS where there's like really minute things that the coaches can force the players to do.
No.
Because right now the players kind of do what they want.
The players can't coach. The coaches can't tell the players what to do at all.
I'm imagining a utopia in the future where that's a possibility, Dinko.
Well,
I want to believe.
Maybe.
Well, we have got
And that's when Yanko makes his return, I'm sure.
Exactly. We got the buy back. MAC-10 in play for Ships in this one. Some Pius is an AWPer who does generally do more of his work on that CT side, especially with some of his early picks. So having that AWP out for him early might be nice. Although Fiend are currently lining up a couple of nades up top, which would likely suggest a pop into the A-bomb site.
It's going to be quite an explosive round, you would say, towards the end here from Fiend. Especially not really running outside with anything at all. They have to bank on this being a quick execute and being successful as the flashes are all put in place. The Molotov clears out top up, but it's all a ruse. Instead, they're going back into ramp, and there's players here. Oh no, this is the perfect setup for the Movistar Riders. They've got the rifle, they've got the AWP, and now they've got all the kills as Movistar Riders start to eliminate the attack from Fiend. You see the idea, but it just didn't budge the defense at all. But Davichi whiffs. He whiffs his shots. That should have been dead to rights, but Harn has worked his way back in with a shot. He's got health in his back as well. It's not like he's down extremely low. 62 is certainly enough health to play with. As he goes to the AWP, 30 seconds back up the ladder, throws the AWP away into Alex. Have that Amazon delivery one day, of course. And Harn now at a 1v3 AK out. And this time he is low, down on 10 HP.
Han's like, I'll give you the AWP if you just let me save this. How about that? That's a good trade.
Part of the deal, of course.
Exactly.
15 seconds left, though, and Harn's chances now completely dwindle. We'd love to get that AWP back, actually.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Can I cancel that trade offer?
Okay, refund. Faulty product, of course. I'll trade the AK for the AWP.
Oh, it's not quite really the Amazon service this time.
That really would be quite the deal. But 10-9. And it really comes down to Team Fiend try to sell it is going to be a full A play, try to pull rotations back up and challenge down ramp. Doesn't work out for them, Holker.
That's a really good read from Movistar Riders, but at the same time, if you commit to that A play, I think it's nice to just at least have one player run out. Maybe even the MAC-10, because if he can just get one kill onto A, that could be enough to draw that AWP over on the rotate. That could be enough to disrupt that setup. Obviously, Fiend didn't expect there to be the double stack at ramp, but either way, there's Movistar Riders who come out on top. full M4 from Movistar Riders now, though, and Bubble going in through door for the early frag, but they're going to go down to lower.
Yeah, they rotate down, and Alex is in position at the double doors. He's ready for them to come down, but they've gone through decon instead, and that smoke is getting allowed into the back of the site. It allows the bomb plant, and now the post plant will ensue. Shot in from Alex, finally changes up his position onto Harn. His first victim is found. Nade is good as well, placed in the right spot. And Dreamer starting to come around the side. Alex is so aware, though. He's reading everything. And Ships is in position to try and take them out. Now they know where he is. He has dropped Davy G. He's pulled the numbers back into at least touching distance for a side on Fiend. But Ships is going to need another. It's going to be difficult in the spot now that they know he's there. But Ships is still getting it done. Sampaius, the next victim. Red Star with the follow-up. And it's all onto Alex, who got the initial kills. But it's not enough because the rest of his teammates couldn't step up. And the time is so far gone. Fiend know they've got the round, and Alex tries to just stay alive as Ships will hunt him. He wants another, and Ships gets him on the way out.
Ships was on 4 health there, and he still swings for the final kill, wanting to make sure that Movistar have as little money as possible. The CT economy is going to be called into question here. Just a faster play coming through from Fiend, though. And sometimes when you are an in-game leader working with the stand-in, this is the sort of play you might call for. Just a fast push out from Bubble to sell some presence towards A early. The other players can then drop down the vent much more comfortably because they've got that early kill out to A. They don't think they're going to run into someone. Straight into this round, just the pistols. But Alex's pistol was in a good position. It is no longer with us, though.
Yeah, you can get him in a good spot, but you really do got to land some shots. He was under a lot of pressure. Utility flashes were all firing in towards his direction. It's easier said than done to land those ones. Death's just going to try and catch the time, it looks like, through the back side. And unfortunately, his teammate at Hell has been picked out. Sampaius left out to dry. No one alongside him to help him out of that spot. So Movistar Riders expected to be in this situation, given the buy they've got coming into this one. Who would you say is the most talented player on the server right now, Hawker?
Ooh. You're really making me get some enemies here, aren't you? If some of these players hear this. My gut tells me it should be one of the Bulgarian players. But I might go with Sampaius, you know.
It's quite hard, isn't it, to really say. You know, the problem with Sampaius, we haven't really seen him play too much.
That's the thing. He's just kind of rocketed onto the scene.
Maybe the skill ceiling's very high for him. But what we know about him is far less than anybody else would feel comfortable about. You know, coming into a lot of the events we've seen, Mopaz will steal away an AK. You know, we look at the Movistar Riders coming into IM4. I really didn't have many expectations for them. I looked at the stats of some of the new players brought in. It didn't really look so great, but it seemed to click at that event. Maybe some extra practice. Now, Movistar do have a lot of facilities back where they train in Spain, right? So it is going to be a good boot camp time for them. They're all Spanish, so you know you're going to be able to get the culture and the team set up pretty quickly. It has been a very quick turnaround for Movistar to get back into this play, and it seems like they're very willing to just be an open book and start a new page here and a new chapter, because they did bring in Steel to try and change things up in the past with his in-game leadership over in Brazil. I think Steel obviously around the time was IGLing a couple of his teams. He came in to try and bring some ideas to the rosters, because I think the problem with that team was they would often think, oh yeah, we're really excited to listen to your ideas for week 1 and 2. And then when things started to go a little badly, they went back to what they're used to playing like.
I just hope for Movistar Riders that their boot camp facility isn't anywhere near any British tourists, because even us Brits hate the British tourists. They're terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I would say most of the tourists head down to the south, don't they, during the summer? Spanish just try to avoid them.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. This game is heating up here, though. So far in this tournament, if you look at the stats for CT and T side, both these teams have similar CT side win rates at around 60%, but it's been the T side where Movistar have had the edge, rocking a 53% T side win rate compared to Fiend's 38%. So we'll see if that can continue to come through for Movistar here, because right now, Fiend is showing up on this T side, and if that can happen and they can steal away this map pick, that could be a massive difference maker in this series.
Yeah, it could very well dent the whole storyline and throw everything out the window. Movistar Riders struggling as they are now behind, but this is the gun round. This is where we start to see what their CT side will be made of. They didn't have a lot of opportunities yet to get in situations that you're comfortable about.
Slow start to this one for Fiend. See their standard setup. Dreamer is posted up towards yard. He is oftentimes the player on the team that likes to lurk and make space by himself. So if there is any presence sold into ramp or into A, he may look to make some plays. For the CT side, though, Alex has pushed all the way up out towards yard, so they're comfortable leaving him in that position and rotating the AWP elsewhere. That's going to allow some Pius to double up on ramp. Similar stat we saw previously, but they've lost a player on the A site.
Yeah, Mopa's down. Ships was able to make it work for the advantage. And Fiend are going to be feeling comfortable about this one. Do they set their sights back on Davy G? Has been a bit of a weakness for them, a bit of a liability at times throughout this competition. In their opening game, only managed 4 kills. And now they test him in the most crucial position of ramp. It comes back to that story of the ramp player's importance, and they do force him off the angle with no kill for the CT side.
They would have run into that double ramp setup, but because they got that A kill, some Pius rotated away, and now Alex has been gone. Ships is having a round here.
Yeah, Ships is doing great work, and now he's looking to try and remove Deaths as well from the round, but Death will always come knocking. Ships fatality will come through for him. Senpais is under pressure. The 8K looks to wrap around the site. Senpai is under pressure. Nearly flicked back. Looked like he got the crosshair at the right spot. But as Davy G was forced down into the B rotate, has to go and try and deny, but doesn't go. The bomb planter. Red Star looks up, and you can see Bubble getting loud. It's the LAN experience trying to scare some of these players away. The yells of the Bulgarians can definitely get in your head, Hawk, especially for a lot of these Spanish players who are very fresh to this environment. You love to see it.
I'm not even in the same room as Bubble, and I am terrified of him right now.
I feel like we're not even in the same building, and I could probably hear him a little bit there through the window.
I don't want to be anywhere near him. He's fired up. He's doing his thing. I'll let Bubble do his thing.
Yeah, it's like it's so scary, but that's great. That's what I want to see from Fiend. I want to see a lot more of that. Use that experience that the Fiend players have got. They've been around for a long time. This Movistar Riders team, they're fresh. They're fresh to this environment.
And now they've called a confidence round, pushing down to B early. 3 players got down, but some Pius, the only man with the AWP, has hit another shot.
Lovely no-scope. Pius, he goes back and gets a second as well. Harn this time goes down, and they're showing that they will not break under the pressure. The Bulgarian belches as Ships and Red Star in a 2 versus 4. Ships begins to push his way towards Hell, and he had a massive impact round on the previous. Let's see if he can find their way back into this, because it is just 3 deagles around this AWP Senpais that's got 3 kills, but Senpais is looking at the right position. He wants a 4K. Oh, he may be new to the scene, but he is certainly playing like he's been here for years himself. It's just Red Star in a 1 versus 4 now, as Senpais is breaking the backs of the Bulgarians.
There is time to work with, but that is a small positive right now, and there is a long list of negatives. He spotted that first player. The molly may help, but some Pius is ready to help.
He's looking for the ace. He's looking for all 5. The hero up to play with all to do. And let's see if he can close it. He tries to run back, gets into a more passive position, and a nice shot from Red Star. And now we have to look at his chances. Mopos is down on the site. The bomb in his possession. Red Star does not have it. And Mopos has the AK. He'll feel good about this. 20 seconds. He's got Alex rotated down to play from double door, and he spotted the foot of Red Star. He's just trying to stay alive and pull that attention away, but Red Star's back in this round. 1 versus 1 now as he goes to the bomb plant, and Alex with the deagle, just the deagle in hand. He's looking to make the hand cannon burst, and he'll find the shot. Red Star denied his hero clutch, and Alex is off to get that AWP back.
Oh, that initial ramp setup I thought was going to be where the round ended. Red Star somehow able to turn it into 1v1 fights. Still, Movistar Riders come out on top, though, and you just wonder whether that's a round where Fiend get slightly over-eager after getting excited in the previous.
Didn't have the kit here. Had to be very quick going back to get that AWP Hawker.
He's got it. He knows what he's doing.
He'll be fine. Does get the ult back, and you can see why you definitely want to make the risk to just go back and get that AWP, because look at this round from Senpais.
Fiend made it somewhat obvious they wanted to go down to this B site quickly, but this was the no-scope that was so important. If he didn't hit that, then it could have been a different story, but some Pius able to post up on so many separate angles. And then Red Star actually able to turn this into a couple of 1v1 fights initially. This is where Senpais tries to reposition. It nearly costs his team as Red Star continues to find fights. But Alex just about able to react in time for that final frag. A close game here. And both teams spending a lot of money in this round.
Massive round for Movistar to keep them in play, but Bubble, he will run out Trying to be loud with his words and loud with his plays as he goes through with the opening, but he's traded out by Davy. And now they're looking for the secret play, and Mopus has already rotated down to the lower side.
This is where Bubble can call from beyond the grave if he wants to. He can see every single one of his teammates' perspectives. Dream is sneaking up on this player. Mopos has to be ready for this fight. Huge kill because the bomb goes tumbling, and now the CTs can start to react accordingly.
They dive down into main without being spotted, and Red Star might just get the timing. He might just get the juke here on Davy, who's trying to transition his position back over to CT Vent. And well, looked like an impossible mission, but he comes out on top. Ship's able to trade it out without permission, and now we have a 3 versus 2. They're down on the site with 50 seconds. Bomb is down as Harn looks to recover it. Still a difficult round here, but Fiend showed that even in the last round, you can never count them out. He started to pull that back. Harm recovers the bomb, and back up to the A site they now go.
Made the right call to come back up to A. No more nades for them, and the CTs have kits to work with. Alex also clearing out lobby. That means they know the Fiend players have to be committed to the site, or they could be flanking Heaven, and Ships might have the perfect timing.
Yeah, Ships is getting in behind, and the bomb is planted in towards the inside, and Ships is now spamming down from below. He shoots to the floor, Hawker. That's an important kill for Ships to throw it back. And now looking down the barrel of 13, this time is ticking for Movistar to try and get back into play. Ships now playing from Heaven, but the bomb is on the other side of the cylinders. It's on the other side, and Harn is starting to wrap around, and Ships is down. Harn with 1, and now tries to get back. Bomb tap, but that time it's ticking. Alex's chances now dwindle as they slip through his fingers. It is done, and 13 rounds now. Read on the board for Fiend. On their opponent's map pick, they are 3 away from taking them down on Nuke.
Such an important play from Ships there in the post plant. After Alex clears out lobby, he needs to have made a play elsewhere. They can't just sit on the site in that post plant. They likely would have been caught out. They likely would have been traded. So the fact that he's able to find a way to reposition is so important. He catches that first man out, and that gives them another post plant position to play from. That's the moment that the round finally goes back in favor of the Fiend side.
The last tactical timeout being used up. You see Mopos trying to fire some energy back into the team. The last time their coach Blade will be able to speak in the tactical timeout environment. Movistar Riders now starting to feel the pressure on their map pick, because they know going into the next Mirage is never an easy battle against Fiend. We bring up the previous results. The teams are able to dismantle in a brutal and demonic fashion. You know that Fiend can be so difficult to put away. You can't let them pick up your map pick. You've got to fight back. And let's be real, Hawk, over the recent rounds, if it's not for Senpai's, Movistar are getting toyed with.
They don't have the perfect investment into this round.
Right into this round. He's gone for the 3 smoke execute. This round's just begun already, and straight away, Bubble again. He's got that entry outdoor, Hawk. He's run that a few times. And Harn looks to go through the smoke.
Senpai is still sitting close by. The Fiend have got the yard control they were looking for. There's 2 rifles in play for Movistar. Will look to have impact. Senpai is set up for an early frag, but now they know where he is. They can wrap around him.
Yeah, he's going to be under a lot of pressure. He needs to be put away. He needs help from his teammates, though, and Deaths and Senpai are not able to work it together, and missed shots from Davy G. Gets caught by Red Star, and now just Alex in a 1 versus 4. You never really like to talk about some weak performances of players. You never really like to highlight too much, but WG certainly has been a liability. We'll see if Alex can pull it back and make up for it. Unable to do so. It's now 14-11. Fiend are now just 2 away from putting away the Movistar Riders. Here comes the buy for the CT side. This is an investment that has a lot riding on it, Hawker, because if they lose this one, their money's not good enough, and it's likely going to be the Fiend win.
Pressure on here for Movistar Riders. And Fiend are clearly playing without pressure in a lot of these rounds. Look at how many times Bubble has tried to slip through that squeaky door. Look at how many times he's been able to get those early kills out onto A and just push and try and make plays for his team. I think Fiend realize that if they win this map, it's kind of just a luxury for them. And with a 14-11 lead, see if they continue to play with the same freedom here in a massively important round for Movistar. Alex is playing in secret early this time, so they're trying to contest the yard play, but Fiend look much more focused on the A side of the map right now.
Deaths was in upper. He was playing from Rafters looking down into towards hut, but instead now is dropped down to play from the back of the site itself. And here comes Fiend. They've had a lot of cool executes in towards this site. Utility's been in place. Now they're charging through. They just need the kills. Mopaz gets one, but Red Star doubles up and cracks open the round completely here for Fiend. Sampaius unable to yet get involved in this round. 3 versus 4 as Fiend hold the advantage into the post plant.
This could be a save call straight away. Movistar Riders locked out of the bomb site, losing those early trades. They decided it's not worth the risk. They're willing to concede 15 because their money is so bad. And for Fiend, just flying in through the hut. These are ballsy calls again as they're just pushing into one side of the A site, but they're trying to just keep it simple, run over the top of their opponents. Movistar were aware they're playing anti-flash. They were aware of the possibility, but they just couldn't get the kills.
This is the full force. The engine started up. You hear the vrooms, you hear the bubble screams because you know the Bulgarian bulldozer is starting to roll over its opponents. Just simple plays, charging through with some great utility placement. They showed a little trick of what they're capable of in some of those A executes with the utility and the timings and how good it looked. Instead, in that round, they decided to go back ramp, but this time they commit into the attack.
It's tough for Movistar because if they knew it was solely the hut play, they very well may have just got blinded and sprayed into hut and just sprayed into that angle to slow them down. Sampaius was in heaven the whole time. He was ready to rotate close by, but they just lost those players so soon he couldn't have impact. And now it's Fiend's chance to close it. 4 map points for Fiend.
And it's quick again. They blow open the door. The flash is out and they're through the side already. Mopaz blinded. Sampaius this time able to deal out some damage and they're down the vent. They're down the vent already here, Fiend.
They've done this a couple of times, but Davy G is the first responder and he's already got an important frag back, but the bomb will be planted quickly.
Great kill from Davy G, getting involved in a crucial round here from Movistar Riders. He's kept his team in a very good position. 2-man advantage here for the Spanish as they go back in for the retake. Dreamer's in a spot holding the vent walkthrough. The rifle's at the ready. Players cross by. Already down to double door. Dreamer didn't catch the timing. And now he's just dreaming on as he's put to sleep. It's all on Harn in a 1v4. So many positions. So much to worry about. And Deaths will eliminate him. Movistar Riders will stay alive on Nuke for the time being. They deal with that quick A play. And straight down the vent. They go. And the rotation was there, you have to say. Davy G getting the job done. Just that one pick is enough to slow them down and give them enough of an advantage.
It's also finally a round where they shut down Bubble out through door, running out onto A early. This is the shot from Sampaius onto Bubble. And in those earlier rounds, it was quite consistent that Bubble would just get one kill or maybe survive a little longer. And that could give the CTs second thoughts there. That could give them something else to think about. They might not have that instant rotate down to B, but because they get that early frag, the B-sided play is there. Davy G gets that frag. Movistar Riders are still in it.
Ship's not going too aggressive, just holding for some CT aggression into his crosshair with the advanced angle. And this time around, I think Fiend have decided we've had enough. They've punished us now for getting out the door early. They've slowed it down, taking a much more tentative approach. Fiend are a side that haven't really prioritized outside control. A lot of teams on Nuke and in this tournament in particular have focused a lot of their play in toward outside, but a lot of inner hits towards ramp, and that seems to be the call again. They're going to try and punish Davy G, or at least test him and see what he's capable of, but for the time being, utility is going to be enough to slow them down. And a double stack at CT vent.
Davy G there playing up top because he knew he could smoke it quickly and have the fast rotate in, but this double CT vent setup could easily be mollied here, and if it is, that's got to be scary.
Oh, if they smoke it, they have to. The swing out from Mopaz, he goes on out. Now they've just got to hope they don't think Deaths is in there. They've got to have the cognizance to not be aware that there is a factor player in behind the CT vent as well. But they're just going to dive down again. They're going to go down to B. They're going to leave Harn up here alongside Dreamer to cut off rotations. But the rest of the squad are now going down into the B site. Davy G's rotated off his earlier ramp position to try and get something. But Bubble is already at the control room window. And he's whiffed his shots. But luckily, Fiend will recover. Ships has found a headshot elsewhere, and Sampaius is down. Fiend will take away Movistar's map pick, 16-12 on Nuke. And now for the Movistars, the battle begins to come back into the series, to stay in this competition and move into the semi-finals. They've got to do it on Mirage, and that is not an easy map when you're playing against Fiend.
And it was the T side that came through from Fiend there in the second half. Something I wasn't expecting to see from them on this map especially. But they kept on running these explosive plays. And every time they got that first kill, it felt like from there they were able to put the pressure on the CTs. And that's when they were able to go ahead and find the right bomb site to hit. They did that a couple of times, and you see it in the last round. They get the early kill. It leads to the round win.
And we talk about in the first half, the storyline was set up. It had to be the team play of Movistar that was going to get them through and get them the wins. We did see that in the first half, but Fiend had decent team play themselves in that second half of the T side. It was simplistic. It was kept simple, and that is key. You have to keep it simple. You can't go too complex, otherwise that hole with the stand-in, that difficulty that Bubble was talking about, calling with the stand-in, does start to come through. And those simple rounds are working for Fiend.
Absolutely. And it is important that you get those early kills, especially when you are playing that simple style of Counter-Strike. Yeah. If you have the utility to fall back on, if you're a more structured team, like we would maybe call Movistar Riders, you don't necessarily need those early kills because you may have the nades to set up the trades, you may have the spacing to be able to trade your way into advantageous positions. But I think here for Fiend, you saw in general, the rounds where they got that first kill were the ones that they were really able to make the difference.
And Bubble was certainly a big part of that, right? And Bubble also, in particular, we got to see him during that map just screaming, getting loud. And for the Movistar Riders, they've got to try and keep the energy up in their camp as they hint into Mirage. But before that, we've got to go to a break, and we'll be back with our analyst to break down Nuke.